Hello, Mr. Jason. Mr. Jason.
Hello, Mr. Craig.
Okay. I heard we have a great guest.
Ooh, it's a really great guest.
Ooh.
Guess who?
No, I'm not gonna guess who. Snuffleupagus.
Okay,
from
then I'll guess. Then I'll guess who.
You guess who?
Okay. Is it Snuffleupagus?
Nope.
Who is it, Mr. Craig? Tell me.
It's Jamie Alderton.
Ooh.
He's gonna be building mind, body, business, and building breakthroughs. You ready for this?
Boom, 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 boom. Let's do.
A boom.
Buckle up, it's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
Hey, man! Hey, sorry to keep you waiting, man.
That's right.
Some tech difficulties.
I'll tell you one thing. You have the most energy right off the bat.
There we go. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Which, considering what you do, is a testament to it, right?
Gotta happen.
Yeah. It's been a crazy week already, and it's only Wednesday, so it's all good.
It's hump day.
Love
they
it.
call it in the
Exactly.
insurance business. Hump
Yeah.
day.
They call it Hump Day here as well. So
Good. then we're in alignment.
good.
We are in alignment.
Well, so you're in England. Are you in England?
I am in England. Yes, just got back.
Oh.
Actually, I've just been on a bit of a world tour for Christmas. I was Singapore, Australia, and Dubai with the family for 3 weeks.
Oh, nice. I just got off the
Nice.
plane from Kauai, like just
Ah,
2 hours ago.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
got out of the
But-
car
yeah.
from Garden Grove.
Well, Jamie, I don't know if you've listened to any of our episodes, and that's all right if you haven't, because it may not be the most exciting stuff to you, but what you have and what you can bring is really important, because I really think it's important for office people, professionals to be very, very mindful of their health, right? Because if your health is screwed up, then this isn't going to work, and you're not going to be successful.
Yeah,
But
certainly.
we start everybody with a goofy question, which is, what was the first concert that you went to?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. I would say it's the Fratellis.
Ooh.
The Fratellis, and I think it was followed swiftly the week after by the Stereophonics.
Nice. That's
So,
pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'll go better off to go the Stereophonics because more people would know that one. But
Yeah.
the Fratellis are pretty damn good.
That's awesome. We'll have to
Nice.
check that out.
Yeah. Awesome. So for the dudes and dudettes, mostly insurance agents that we have as our audience, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit, Jamie, and tell them how you got to where you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'll try and keep this short because sometimes
No,
I
it's
usually say to people, do you want the short, the long one? But basically, I started off joining the military at 17 because I had kind of two paths: either go to prison or join the army. Because I was not very attentive as a child. I was a little bit hyperactive, a little bit all over the place. And I think I made a good decision to join the army. And, it was very fortunate for me to spend 7 years in the British Army. I left and, I decided as soon as I stopped enjoying it, I'd leave. The only thing is I left with no job. Managed to find one. And a year later, I actually had a bit of a whirlwind adventure. I caught up with an old army officer that gave me an opportunity to have some phenomenal adventures. I basically went to work in psychological operations for the US government in Iraq and Kuwait. And then I moved over as security advisor for the UN in Kenya and Mogadishu. Did that for 2 years, and then got made redundant. A little bit of poor timing as well, because I just got a mortgage with my wife and put all of my money into it, only to find out that I no longer have a job. So I had about equivalent to about $1,000 in the bank, and that was about it. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I think a lot of people will probably get this, especially with business owners. It's that kind of time where you make the right decisions or the wrong decisions, or you stop messing about, and it's like, what do you want to do with your life, Jamie? And it was the first time I'd ever done this. I got a pen and paper out and I wrote down, what do I want to do with my life? And this was 2012, and it was like, right, I've got a little fitness page. I've been training since the age of 13. I should become a personal trainer. And I just went, right, do you know what? I'm just going to go all in and do this. And the only problem is I didn't have any money. But I did have a credit card that had about $30,000 spending limit. So I put the qualification on there. I bought a little studio. I couldn't afford a car, so I borrowed my dad's bike. And I cycled up and down to this little studio, win, rain, or shine, and built, started to basically live life on my terms. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Within 3 years, I became one of the go-to personal trainers in the UK. And kind of that brings me up to now where, over the last sort of 8 years, I've had incredible success with my business. I've written 2 books. I've broke multiple world records in endurance and fitness. And I've had a lot of fun doing it whilst having 2 kids and a wife, and balancing all that out as best as I can.
Boom. That is a lot. It's crazy. So tell us about that. So when you first started that journey and taking your credit card and going for it, I mean, that couldn't have been all roses, right? What was the hardest things that you came up against, and how did you overcome those? Your mind's always telling you no, right? That you're stupid. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
Oh yeah. I mean,
how did you get through that?
The thing is, I mean, I would honestly, I just come from the military and come from a job, and, I'd always spent my whole life working for someone, being told what to do. And this was kind of the first time in my life where it's like less about being told what to do and more about what do you want to do. And as much as there was so much uncertainty in my life, I was in control of it finally. And it was kind of exciting because I felt like I was in a bubble. I felt, it's all up to me. It's my responsibility. If this doesn't work, it's my fault. If it does work, it's my fault. And a huge flip turn in my life happened in 2012 because I just realized that, it's all on me, whether this is a success or a failure. And I think a lot of people, what I realized is that they're waiting for opportunities to happen. They're waiting for somebody else to do it for them. And most importantly, they're waiting for the right time. And one of the biggest things that happened to me is that was the worst time that could have possibly happened for it. Just as I got a mortgage, just as I put all of my savings in, literally the worst time. If you would say to me, at that time, Jamie, how about you follow your passion? How about you do this personal training thing and just quit everything with your really nice high paying job in, jetting around the world? I'd have laughed at you. But actually that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because it was like, right, you've got no other choice but being forced into something that you actually want to do. And when I speak to a lot of people, they say to me, I've got this idea for a business, I've got this idea for this and that. And I'm just like, you just got to do it. And they're like, no, I'm going to wait until I've got a certain amount of money. I'm going to wait till the kids are, one's 3 and one's 5. And then I'm going to do it. And I'm just like, no, you won't. Because then there'll be something else. And I think a lot of people, I've got this it's not my quote. It's a Stoic quote, and it's memento mori. And what it says is that remember that you have to die. And a lot of people think that's somber. They're like, oh, that's so somber. I'm like, no, no, no. We got to understand is that what's somber is that people think that they're going to live forever. People think that in 10 years' time they're going to do that thing, and then what happens is they postpone it and postpone it and postpone it. They get old and they realize, oh, I should have done it then. And I honestly couldn't live my life now knowing at 70 to 80 years of age that I should have done those things and live with that regret. And I try and say that to people all the time. You know, life is long, but it is also short, and you'll be fine. You know, we've got these things, these magical things now called iPhones, and we can find all the information on anything that we need to find if we need to find it.
When we are anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be fine. As long as you got one of those. I'm not too keen on those Android phones. It's very much an iPhone person.
Agree.
Thank God for that. But this is it. I mean, it's a magical time that we live in 2020. We can pretty much figure out anything if we know how to use it. And, you know, kind of when shit hits the fan, we kind of go, right, stop messing about. Let's get it done. And that's really been my focus. You know, I've had a great amount of success with it. And I have a lot of people ask me how I've done it, this, that, and the other. And one thing that I enjoy, something that I try and explain to people, is that I like to draw it out in crayons. I like to make things simple to people because a lot of people think business is difficult. But business is about people. Business is about connecting with people and doing something that you enjoy doing. And most importantly, making other people's lives easier, because there's nothing more rewarding than taking a complex subject that people are confused and scared about and making it easy. And that's something I very much enjoy doing.
Yep. I love that.
We will try to overcomplicate it too. If there's any opportunity to overcomplicate, we'll do that. And then that's how you talk yourself out of doing the thing that you wanted to do.
Exactly.
You know? Create the excuses with your overcomplications. It's just something else. And to your point, it is remarkable because if you're not going to take that jump, and most every guest that we've had on the show has a similar story in that they were working some job and then they said, okay, screw it, I'm going to do it. And they overcame that fear. But if you don't, you won't, right? Because today you have much more likelihood of doing it and being successful than in the tomorrow or the next day or 10 years, or, you know, because you're going to die.
Well,
you are going to die.
It comes down to that old Chinese proverb. You know, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. And it is so true. It's with everything. You know, my three focuses, which have the similar, you know, fundamentals, is body, brain, and business. You know, they all work on basic fundamentals and small things done consistently, which compound over time.
I like that.
Why don't you? Yeah. No, you go.
Yeah, go for it. We always do that. Work classic us. What were you going to say?
I was just going to. I'd love you to dive a little bit down each of those.
Yeah, cool. So
those three, yeah.
Well, let's start with the brain. I mean, like, one thing I say is transformation starts from the neck up, not the neck down. You get your head sorted, and then you'll get the rest sorted. And, you know, getting things done, you know, so many of us have to tick all the boxes every single day when it's just about the minimum effective dose done consistently. Something that I say about, you know, personal development is a lot of people want to know all the top 10, you know, the things that I get a lot is, Jamie, can you tell me your top 10 books? As if they're going to buy all 10 books. And I say to people, look, you've got to take things one chapter a day. You know, if I put 34 books on your desk and said I want them read by the end of the year, the chances are you'll probably get through 5 or 6 of them, but you won't get through them for the entire year. But if I just gave you one book and said I want you to commit 10 minutes a day to read a chapter, if you did that every single day without fail, you'll get 30 to 35 books read in a year. And this is exactly the same with your brain as with your body. couple of years ago, I noticed a lot of thickness in my back. And it really confused me because I was like, I haven't really trained that much back this year. How has my back become so thick? And I was thinking about it, and I go for a walk every morning, and there's this pull-up bar on the beach. And it's quite funny because it's got 3 kind of challenges. It says if you can do 3 pull-ups, you're a beginner. If you can do 5, you're intermediate, and if you can do 7, you're advanced. So
Wow.
I walk past it. I do my 7, jump back down, a little smile, no more than that, and then away I go. But I kind of thought back. I was like, well, hang on a minute. How many walks have you done this year? And I worked out it's 265. Jamie, how much do you weigh? About 210 pounds. So if we're looking at 265 times 205 pounds, 210 pounds times 7, it's equivalent to a Boeing 747 jet in volume.
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
And this is over a year period. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. The key to hypertrophy is volume, sets times reps times weight. So that 5-second habit done every single day produced enough volume in my back of a plane to increase its width. Now, if you think about that, that's very similar to the 1 chapter a day. You just focus on one simple thing, and compounded over time, it produces a massive result. You've just read 30 to 35 books in a year. You've just suddenly got this back fitness. And a lot of that comes down to patience and consistency. So that's kind of your body and your brain. And it's exactly the same with business. So many people look at Apple, they look at Facebook, they look at generating millions of dollars. And unfortunately, with the internet, you see all these people showing their Stripe accounts, and you can build a 6-figure business in just 30 days and all that stuff. And that's, to me, is very much like the fitness people saying you're going to get ripped in 30 days and transform your body. And it's just like, look, you might get some results, but it's not going to be sustainable. If you go hell for leather for a month, and let's just say you generate 6 figures, and you're like, woo, you're like, are you going to keep that momentum every single month? Because, okay, that's great, but you have no systems in place. You've just got nonstop hustle. And there's only so much of that you can get before you burn out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's exactly the same with weight loss. You can drop 20, 30 pounds in a month, but you're jumping on treadmills, you're restricting your calories, and you're doing miserable things to get that result. So we're looking at sustainability. And businesses aren't created in 30 days. Businesses are created in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And a lot of people don't have that patience to just consistently just add the systems, learn, make more mistakes, and give it time. People are very impatient.
Yeah, and it's always, and then our brains tell us, I have to work out for 3 hours a day to get this done in a month, or nothing, right? It's always the super extreme, or just I'm going to eat donuts today. That's the alternative.
And I think as well, we're very all or nothing people. I mean, so many people are. You're either in or you're out. But what I say to people is that they should focus on being 80%. That they should be 80%, 100% of the time.
So what do you do to really focus your mind? Like let's say you were in a really bad place. You lost it all again. Your family left you. Like mentally, you're just all bound up. Let everything go. How would you implement to get back, starting with the mind?
So first and foremost, a lot of people think they go hell for leather, but as with the brain, as with the body, stress plus rest equals growth. It sounds like I've been under a lot of stress, and if I want to grow, I've got to focus on rest. And so many people, especially business owners, and that they don't look at that rest part. They look at a holiday as a distraction rather than an investment. They look at when they're going through a tough time, or when business gets hard, the answer is to go harder. No, it's not. You need to take time out. You need to have some rest. You need to look at holidays as an investment. If you are burnt out, if you're stressed in that, which I have been many a times, the first port of call is to down tools. Is to get out of the environment that you're in and allow yourself some time to rest and recover. because then you can get back in the game. You can have a clear, thought process. You have time to think about where it is that you want to be. And it very much comes down to that kind of self-reflection. We're very much focused on the next thing, but so many people don't. I kind of look at it as horizon thinking. If you're running towards a horizon, it never gets any smaller. And the only way that you can see your progress is by looking back at how far you've come. And so many people need to do that, because as business owners, you're just looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And you don't ever spend any time just reflecting and going, do you know what? I've done all right. I've done pretty good this year. Let's just focus on the next progression, or let's just take some time out to look at where the mistakes that I've made, the things that worked, the things that didn't. And let's, it's always about taking things away rather than adding things. And I think every year that I look at stuff I've done, I don't look at the things I need to do more of. I usually look at the things I need to say no to, or the things that I need to do less of.
Love it. And then from there on, I love that advice about taking rest, because it's almost like we become hamsters on wheel, and the more tired we get, like the more stressed out we get, the more we add to it. Oh, okay, then I need to push myself harder. And especially on social media these days, it's all about hustle. So it's like increase the hustle. And it's like, dude, you need to step back and realize you're probably doing a lot of stuff that doesn't knock down the dominoes that'll really take you to the next level.
And I learned this the hard way. I come from a British Army soldier. I did 2 operational tours in Baghdad. We were getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night for 6 months straight. And, you just suck it up. You just suck it up because everyone's like that. Yeah. And the thing is, I started adopting my business the same. And, I got success with that. And then obviously kids came along. Life got a little bit more balanced, but then you realize, hang on a minute, I'm very much team no sleep. I was the person who's walking along saying to people, if you slept 2 hours less a day, then you'll get an extra month of your year to do stuff.
Right.
But the reality is, who cares if you're up an extra month if you're tired? If you can't do stuff, it doesn't matter it's not how much time you're awake. It matters what you do in the time that you're awake. And I know for a fact a Jamie that's had 8 hours sleep can do a lot more the next day than a Jamie that's only had 4. Right. So it's about not, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And actually it comes down to that rest part of, you are in a better place when you're rested and recovered. As soon as everyone's been on that vacation, right, where they didn't want to go, they go, right, okay, I'll go. A couple of days, they fall asleep and they have like 10 hours sleep, and then they're on the sun lounger, and suddenly they're like need to jot about 10 notes down on their phone, and they've like jotting away, like, wow, where's all these ideas come from? It's because you've rested, you've taken time off, you've relaxed. And and that's why people don't look at it as an investment. If you are the business owner, if you're the person with all the ideas and that, you need to kind of look at yourself as $1 million racehorse. If you've invested $1 million in a racehorse, you're not going to thrash it every single day.
Right.
You're going to feed it the best food. You're going to give it the most amount of rest. So, because when it comes to performing, you want it to perform at its best. And that's where you need to treat yourself like that as well. And that's something that I learned the hard way by having a massive meltdown, having massive burnout, and just being lost for many months, wondering why I can't, push the needle forward. And it was just like, well, just look at your habits, Jamie. You're burning the candle at both ends. You're getting up at 5 a.m., but then you're going to bed at midnight, and you're working 7 days a week. And it's just that realization is like, you look at how you grew your body: stress, rest, growth. You don't go to the gym 7 days a week. You go to the gym 3 days a week, 4 days a week, because those days in between are actually when you build and grow and repair. Just as the same as when you take your time out of your business, out of that environment, you repair, you grow, and you come up with the ideas that are going to push the needle forward.
I love it.
That is so awesome. And we typically ask people, how do you hold yourself accountable? But the mindset of that question is more like doing all the stuff you have to do, right? Being the Gary V and hustle, hustle, hustle. But actually, you hold yourself accountable to actually taking a step back.
But yeah, I think a lot of people get Gary V wrong with the hustle. I mean, Gary V doesn't work weekends.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people say that and they say to him all the time, but he has plenty of time off. He has plenty of time with his family. You know, when he down tools, he down tools. And I think that's important for people to look at. It's just, you know, my focus this year is, you know, my actual working schedule, and this is very different. I had just written a book called Meltdown, and in 2016, I had one of the most successful years in business. I built my dream gym facility. So I'd always wanted to do that. So I built this incredible gym, incredible business. I broke a Guinness World Record, pushing 140 kilo. Well, it's about 300 pounds sled for 24 hours straight, and we raised around $20,000 for charity. I wrote a book. I wrote a book which went to a bestseller in 6 hours, which was incredible. And I finished the year having ticked so many boxes that I was completely lost, and I went into a really dark place. And and it was really hard to get out of because I couldn't tell anyone. It's like, oh, poor you, poor Jamie, with all your success, and now you're struggling. poor you, boo 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 hoo. And it took me a very long time to recover from that. It took me a good 4 to 5 months just to figure out where I was going wrong, and my balance was out of whack. You know, I wasn't spending time with the people that I loved. I was serving too many people. You know, I'd spend hours and hours answering emails and that, but I wouldn't spend that time with my family. And something amazing happened last year. I had even more success than I did in 2016. Once again, I wrote a book which went to a bestseller. I broke another Guinness World Record. I box jumped the height of Mount Everest last November. We raised, I think it was around about $45,000 for charity. Rebuilt my business as well. Had my son Archer in May. But the most important difference was I had nearly every single weekend off, and I put my phone down after 8 p.m. And I had a life. And actually I had a busier, more successful year in 2019 with more time off than I did in 2016. And my aim for this year is to do less and achieve more. And that is by going, right, okay, you know, Monday, Tuesday, filming, editing, content, Wednesday, live streams, podcast interviews, Thursday, spa, massage, sit on a sun lounger with a book all day, Friday, a little bit of work to do, Saturday, Sunday, family days. And that is my hustle plan of action. Probably
That's awesome.
Just as much time off as on. And that comes by having the right automations in place, having the right systems, being able to say no to things, and trusting other people to do things for you by delegation, which is the hardest thing for a business owner to do.
The delegation
100%.
and saying no, right? Yeah. Especially at the front end in this business where, you know, a lot of insurance agents will start, it'll just be them and they're doing everything. They're doing the marketing, they're doing the sales. So when they start to grow and they get a little success, instead of delegating and then saying no to people, because I know Jason and I don't really talk to the clients too much. I mean, unless they're on fire, right? Like it's pretty much that's why we have the team. And you build out the team, you have systems and processes in place, and then I can go away to Hawaii for 2 weeks and we write more business when I'm gone. It's like, wait, maybe I should never be here. And, you know, same with Jason. He goes camping and does his thing, and they do awesome. And so, you know, making that move to business owner versus business operator is a huge thing. And,
huge. And you know, something I say to a lot. I mean, I very much coach personal trainers now who start really scaling their business up. And something that I say to people is, what got you where you are today is not where you're going to get you to, you know, the next level. Because the reason that you're a successful personal trainer is that you're the jack of all trades. a lot of people think that that word jack of all trades is a bad thing, but they don't know the full quote. The whole quote is a jack of all trades and a master of none, though it's better than being a master of one, or something like that. So basically what it's saying is that a jack of all trades is actually good. And the reason that you're successful is because you are very good at more than one thing. But, and this is the big but, is in order for you to get better at that, you need to allow yourself to focus on things that you're really, really good at. And most business owners, most leaders, most entrepreneurs and that, they're really, really good at speaking to their audience, being a leader, and talking to people, and kind of being out of the business, doing that as kind of the front person for that. Other people can do your social media, other people can do your emails, other people can do everything that you are pretty good at, but you shouldn't be doing.
Yep.
Move the ego, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to move the ego to the side and say, I can hire somebody that can do the social media better than me. I can hire somebody that can answer my emails. I mean, he could get wrapped up in emails all day long and accomplish zero just by doing that. You're just people pleasing all day long, and that doesn't create any revenue.
Yeah.
So, I think
that's tough.
Yeah.
You know what? I was going to go into, I wanted to go into body a little bit. You know, there's the desk job is kind of going the way of the buffalo, but for us to still have it, we've realized how detrimental it can be to our health. And to Craig's point, when you are a jack of all trades and you're doing everything in your business, your health goes last. It's Z on the list. What are some things for an insurance agent or anybody that has a desk job? Like, how do you get out of that rut? And what little things can we do to change?
So I'd say the first thing is it's very easy to fall into that trap because you're succeeding in other areas. If your business is doing well, it tends to be a justification for you not looking after yourself.
Right.
But the reality is it will come back to bite you in the arse, because it's this: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You don't want to wait until it's too late to sort your health out, because then, you know, if you think that you haven't got time to sort it, you definitely haven't got time now. And just a small amount done daily, as we've already explained, produces great results. So what I would say to most people, everything comes down to the basic fundamentals. And if we really want to put it in layman's terms with regards to weight loss, it's eating less food than you burn and finding different ways to increase your expenditure. There's two ways you can do that. You can eat less, or you can move more. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like that whole eat less thing. I like my food. So for me, it's a case of moving more. And this isn't going to do hill sprints. This isn't going to do, jumping on a treadmill. This is about steps. And the biggest game changer for anybody is to manage your movement. Be aware of how many steps that you're getting in per day. Because the biggest problem that you'll have is you'll go to the office, you'll work all day, and you'll think that you've done stuff, but you are mentally exhausted, and you can look down at your watch or your iPhone and see that you've only probably done about 1,000 steps for the day. And this is the problem that so many people I have say to me. They're like, "Oh, I'm working so hard, I must be burning loads of calories." And I look at, they have like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, and I say to them, "Look, you're not even moving. Your brain is exhausted, but your body's not." And actually, if I said to you, right, your mission, before we even look at the food, is I challenge you to get 10,000 steps in per day. And the thing is what we have to understand is, as business owners, we're competitive. We like to smash targets. We like to set ourselves goals, and we like to hit it. And we like to, and you can create this kind of environment, especially with things like Fitbits and that. You can join these, who can get the most steps in per week. If you want to make it, it's all about gamification. Fitness should be about gamification. If you want to really, if you really want to focus on your health, then what I would do is reach out to a load of other friends, set a kind of a 6-month competition, get everyone linked in for their steps or for what it is that they're looking to do, and away you go. There's nothing, there's nothing more motivating when you're looking and you're like third on the leaderboard and you need to get another 2,000 steps in, and it can make such a difference to your progress by doing it with other people. And just looking back to that movement thing that we said, if you go from sort of 2,000 steps per day to 10,000 steps per day, what we have to understand is that compounded over a year, that can have a huge difference. If we look at 10,000 steps per day, that's equivalent, depending on the person's weight, 400 to 500 calories expended per day. So over a year period, if you did nothing else but increase that movement, that's equivalent to 15 pounds of body weight. When we consider, when we look at sort of 3,500 calories being a pound of body fat. So that compounded over a year, if you did nothing more, would be 15 pounds lighter. So that's the kind of mindset I want people to look at. It's not about going crazy with this, super secret diet plan and this magical training tip. It's just move more and be conscious of it. And
I love that.
It's a simple fundamental which anybody can do.
So 10,000 steps. That's the challenge that you
10,000 steps per day.
Per day.
That's it.
Love it.
That's it. 10,000 steps per day. If there's anything that you want to tick off from your fitness goals, if you're getting that in, you will notice a big difference over 3 months, 6 months in your weight loss, in your productivity. And, you've got it. The way that I find it easy, I love getting up in the morning, but you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone if you are getting your steps in and listening to a podcast or audiobook. Because it's so much easier then, because you get rewarded. I love getting up in the morning. It's dark, put my headphones on, listen to a podcast, no one's around, and I absolutely love it because you're learning stuff, plus you're getting that movement in.
Love it. So how can, I'm sure whoever's listening is just, there's so many nuggets in here. How can they get a hold of you? And then we'll get into that too, because your social media is on point. So how can we all get a hold of you?
The easiest place probably to get me is on Instagram at @Alderton, JayAlderton. That's where I hang out most of my time. In between that and TikTok, I'm still trying to it's a bit of a story of TikTok. I downloaded it for a joke last year, decided I'll commit to it, and within, I think it was in 4 months, had over 100,000 followers and got verified on it. So it was just crazy.
Wow.
And I'm kind of getting around 6 to 8 million views a month on TikTok. So I'm fascinated with the platform. As Gary Vee said, he said go all in. I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Kind of growing 10,000 followers a week at the moment, which is crazy considering.
That is amazing.
Considering TikTok, it's a brand new audience. There hasn't been over from Instagram. These people have never heard of me before, and it's essentially within that 6 months, I think it's 135,000 people follow me on there now that never knew who the hell I was. So
that's crazy.
It's such an interesting platform emerging, which I'm excited about, because the monetization will start coming in this year. And it's interesting to see people's opinions on TikTok.
So quick question on TikTok. How many times are you posting a day, and what's your kind of strategy with that? Are you piggybacking off of hashtags?
Yeah, so I'm kind of growth hacking it at the moment. I'm looking at, I'm very much, I'm very much, based on my job where I used to work in psychological operation, I'm very good at understanding like how people, I see something, oh, that's why that's doing this. So I'm kind of jumping on the trends and not really posting valuable content yet. I'm just building up that audience and seeing what's there and testing a few things. But I've got like kind of a system that works. I jump on a few trends. I mainly it's more comedy stuff, and I'm very good at video editing with my mobile phone, so I do a lot of things with that, and I'm kind of waiting to kind of transition that into more business stuff. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, are you making any money on it yet?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Oh." I said, "Look, you gotta understand, it's the same day you plant the seed isn't the same day you pick the flower. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
you've got to water it every single day, and you got to be patient." And I think so many people, they're asking me like, "Oh, how much money are you making on it?" or this, that, and the other, and I'm just like, "Look, patience." As with anything, just be patient. Keep doing it, and then suddenly I know next couple of months the monetization's coming in, the links in, the swipe ups, and then I'll be like, phew, there you go.
Wow.
So,
And with a huge audience.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of posting a couple of times a day. I've posted consistently at least once per day, every day for the last 6 months. And, one thing I will say is that I posted every day for 40 days and I was averaging about 10 views on my videos, which is enough kind of motivation for you not to post on it, because you're not getting that feedback and that positive feedback loop. And then suddenly I posted one video and it had like 500,000 views, and it was just like, oh, okay, cool. So you get that kind of positive feedback, and then it starts going. And I've had some crazy views on my videos. I had just one at Christmas that had 7.5 million views. It was just
Whoa,
insane.
Wow.
But what created that to happen? Like, it was just it got pushed.
No, I mean it's very weird. I mean, it's very weird with TikTok. I mean, they're very much favoring trends, and if you go onto the search tool, it will tell you all the latest trends that are happening at the moment. And I think some major advice I give TikTok is play about with it, utilize what you've got to do is, I mean, you have 15 to 60 seconds. They recommend around 14 to 16 seconds of video. And the main thing of the algorithm is to try and two things: keep people to all the way to the end of the video. So you've got to keep people engaged for at least 14 to 16 seconds.
14 seconds.
Yeah. And even more with the algorithm, if you can get more people to watch it again. So when that gets your brain thinking, you're like, right, okay, what's going to keep people in for 14 seconds? Build up, anticipation, waiting for something to happen. That's going to build it up. So very much TikTok is focused on music and images, music, video, and text. So they've got lots of songs with like a build up for a beat drop. So like for me, like I would grab a song, put text on. The secret to fat loss is ... wait for it to build up, and then go consistency. I'd be like, oh, but that's what gets
right.
And I do a mixture of those and some funny ones. And I think a lot of people were jumping on hiding text in the video and saying, like, look at my watch. And then they look at the watch and there's a bit of text that says, look at my shoulder. And then they look at the shoulder and it's got a little bit of text there. And it goes, look at the clock. And you see what I mean? You're getting people to stay on the video to try and look at hidden images and text in there, which then gets it looping around, and then adds to that. So there's lots of different tactics that you can put in there. But the main thing I say is be consistent, look at the trends on there, utilize the sounds on there and the tunes, and make it funny and entertaining, or infotaining, as I like to call it.
Yeah,
I love that.
And my kids, so I have a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old, and they are on the TikTok all day.
Yeah.
We were on vacation. They're on that thing.
Every
dances and stuff, and I'm just like, what the hell? I don't even understand what's happening.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, everyone keeps saying, oh, it's for kids, and it's so hilarious because I've got young cousins at school, and all their friends follow me, and they're all embarrassed and stuff like that. It's great, but also at the same time is the way that TikTok works is if you jump on there first, you're going to see lots of weird videos of young kids, etc., and lip syncing and that. But the way that the algorithm works is the more things that you interact with, the more that you see. So when I jump on now, I'm seeing creators, I'm seeing more business stuff, I'm seeing more over 30s, and it's more kind of a mature TikTok based on the things that I like and interact with. So it's only a matter of time when you start using it that you understand there's a huge demographic of people using it, and it's still brand, it's not brand new. It's about 3 or 4 years old, but this kind of transition into where it's going, and there's lots of other monetization things. And I think the most important thing that I've learned more from 14, 15-year-old kids on the platform than I have other people on platforms, because the way that I say this is like when I was a kid, it was all about Mega Drives and Nintendos. You'd spend hours and hours and hours on video games, investing in getting better at these things, and not really seeing a return on it other than getting a high score or completing a level. Kids have a lot of time these days. So if they're on TikTok and they're making videos and they're editing and they're doing transitions and all these kind of things, they're spending 10, 12, 15 hours a day beating on their craft. So these 14, 15-year-old kids, they've got some skills. And I'm learning so much from these kids. Another thing as well, as a bit of a business tip, is that these kids are getting hundreds of thousands of followers, but they're not earning money from it. So if I see sort of if I had a business that was I don't know, products for kids, sort of clothing or stuff like that, for you to get an advertisement on TikTok for someone with 1 million followers would cost you probably 5% of what it would cost on Instagram. You could probably, I think like a 1 million follower on Instagram will probably set you back about $20,000, but the same following on TikTok for the same amount will probably set you back about, I don't know, $200 to $300 max. So there is huge potentials, depending on obviously what your business is and depending on what it is that you're selling. That if I was 15 to 16 years of age and someone turned around and said, "Hey, can you just promote this hat and I'll give you $200," I'd snap your hand off
all day long.
Totally,
all day long. And people aren't thinking about that. Like there's huge potential. And everyone knows the how impactful influencer marketing is when done correctly. And there's huge potential to tap into before a lot of these kids get a bit older and realize the value in an audience, because at the end of the day, audience is currency.
It's truth. Yeah. Love it. Gosh, that's great. And we've kept you for so long. And you've dropped some amazing value bombs. There's a couple questions I did want to ask, and it goes back to the book thing. Give us just a couple books that you would recommend. I love to kind of see where people's heads are at and what have made the biggest impact on them. So maybe 2 or 3 that have really impacted you personally.
So there's a book called The Go-Giver. Which I just read recently, actually, and it was really good because it just gets some tips, and it goes through a story about a guy wanting to become successful, and he meets these different people along the way, and they all kind of connect with each other. Incredible book, which I highly recommend. There's another one which I recommend from self-development called The Shrink and the Sage, and it's a book by a psychologist and a philosopher. And they get asked questions on, self-development, life, and from both a philosophy perspective and a psychology perspective. And it's cool. It's one of these books where I can only read a chapter because my head gets blown off every time I read it. It is just it is one of those kind of books which I highly recommend. And then my final one from a self-development point of view, which I always recommend, is Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Dr. Maxwell Maltz was a cosmetic surgeon, and he was always fascinated why someone would come to him with an issue which they were unhappy with. He would fix it and they'd be happy. But at the same time, he'd have just as many people that regardless of what they did to improve, they were never content. And the book talks about self-development. It talks about understanding self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, and how you can work through certain principles to understand yourself better, be aware of things where you're kind of slipping up, and make those improvements.
Love it.
Okay. Yeah, and those are great. And then how about your books? So you have two?
Yes. So I have a book called Mindset of Muscle. So that basically focus on strategies to build your body, brain, and business. So
Yeah.
I very much focus on habits, routines, simplifying things down. And in December this last year, I just launched my new book, Meltdown, which talks about 2016. It's kind of after the book of Mindset of Muscle. Mindset of Muscle is still a phenomenal book, but it wasn't necessarily talked about family and balance. It was more about strategies and business. And the Meltdown book's kind of, the chapter after where, I've got all the business stuff sorted, but not the kind of relationship stuff sorted. And it kind of talks about my journey of kind of recovery from burnout and realizing the importance of kind of systemizing, automating things, opening up and being a human, and learning about stoicism, learning to control what you can and to let go of things that you can't. And my new fascination with the cold, such as cold showers and ice cold sea dips, which have been a huge game changer.
Tony Robbins does that.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, a lot of people talk about the health benefits of cold, and there is a lot of physiological benefits, but there's just as much psychological, because I live 10 minutes from the beach. The sea is 8 degrees, which is just sitting on freezing, and I wake up every day not wanting to go in there. Like no one wants to go in a sea.
No,
hell no. Hell no. Every time I think that, which is every single morning, makes me want ignore what it is that I'm thinking and do it anyway. Because I think the biggest thing that people can condition themselves is to do things that they don't want to do when they know that they need to do it. That includes going to the gym. That includes doing those mundane tasks which you just kind of wait till next week to do. So if you can condition yourself to do stuff even though that you don't want to do it, then you're going to have a lot of success. Because something that I say, the person that comes out of that sea is very different to the person that comes in. The person that goes in does not want to go in, but the person that comes out has this huge smile on his face and is so glad that he did it.
It's like, I did it, damn it.
Exactly. And especially early in the morning, you've already achieved something that you didn't want to do, and you feel great from doing it because you just get this massive rush of endorphins. It's incredible. It's absolutely freezing as soon as you go in there, but 20-30 seconds, get your breathing right, and it is incredible. And you go out and it's amazing. You just can't stop smiling. It's very strange. And everyone asks me, why on earth do you do it? And I say, look, you can't tell you've got a show.
Yeah.
You got to just jump in that sea.
Yeah. You're in there for 30 seconds or a minute?
I mean, it depends on the time of year. At the moment, I'm probably looking about 2 minutes max.
Okay.
And then go back out because of the cold. As the summer goes on, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I've got a lot of people in my groups. They come down for meetups. We go for a swim. Depending on it's either a dip or a swim. Usually when it goes up to about 15, 18 degrees, it's a swim. At the moment, it's a dip.
Is there ever snow on the ground and you go in?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
They're the days that you need to go in. These are the days where you can have all the excuses,
right?
You can say yourself. And one thing that I do is I go to sleep in my swim shorts, because if I wake up and I say to myself, I'm not going to go in, the next question I ask, well, if you weren't going to go in, why are you in your swim shorts?
Yeah.
I love that.
And There's some accountability.
And that completely changes everything. And then I go jump on Instagram and I even though I don't want to do it, I say, hey, I'm going in the sea. Because as soon as I've told Instagram, I've got to do it.
You got to do it.
You've got to do it. Full accountability.
So is this setting up those? Sorry, dude, you go.
Sorry, it's setting up those micro habits to support the macro habit.
Exactly.
Because, love it.
Yeah, and it's so important to do because, that first hour in the morning is so important. You've got to fill your own vessel up so you can serve others, and find different ways of filling your vessel. For me, it's getting up, it's getting those steps in. So getting for a walk, it's jumping in that sea, and it's looking at, learning something new from a podcast or audiobook.
Yeah.
If I can tick those boxes, I'm good to go for the day.
Yeah. That is awesome, man. So we have the books. They're both available on Amazon, I would presume.
Yep, on Amazon. If you just search on Amazon, Mindset with Muscle or Meltdown. Meltdown's you can't miss it. It's a glowing orange book, so it's quite easy to see. So
nice. Anything else that you would give an aspiring insurance agent that's coming in and is afraid to take that leap and dive in? Any words of encouragement or advice?
One day you will be dead. Simple as that. And you're not coming back as a tree. So if you don't do it now, you never will. And life is short, and this is what you have to understand: is we're in an incredible time where if you're scared about taking that leap, don't be, because you can always go back to your job. You don't want to have that mentality of plan B. But if it all goes wrong, then get out your iPhone, Google some stuff, and away you go.
Love it.
So
Jamie,
awesome.
So awesome. Thank you so much for taking an hour with us and dropping so much awesome knowledge. And I love how you included mind, body, and business, because that is so important, and they do go together. And when something's out of line, even out of line at home, it's like a car with a flat tire. It's like everything else is all wobbly. So I love
definitely.
how,
I look at it kind of like as, 4 legs on a stool. If one is off balance, then, something wobbles, and it's important to get that balance of, all 4, which kind of fall under my categories of health, wealth, productivity, and connectivity.
So awesome.
Focus on your health, focus on your wealth, focus on being productive, and focus on connecting with people in real life, because social media isn't social. Actually, saying hello, shaking hands, and hugging people is social.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right,
so
man.
Everybody's got to check out the stuff. Check out the
we
books.
Will put those books. We will put the links to the books in the show notes, so you can go ahead and grab them there. Highly encourage you. I'm going to pick them up myself, and I know Jason's going to listen to them, and away we go. So thank you, Jamie. We appreciate you.
No, thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle, coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.